In the wake of Ballerina's attempt to justify female action stars and the decade-long forcing of the girl boss down our throats, audiences are pretty exhausted. Understandably so. Most men don't want to see women replacing them in the lead of action movies. It's not a fantasy most women want to experience, and few of the shared character traits are good for anyone to imitate. Be honest, would you rather have Timothée Chalamet try to save you when a stiff breeze can get the best of him, or be rescued by, in his prime, former Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura? Exactly. Now, again, do you prefer Ventura, or be left to die by a female firefighter who's too weak to even try and save you?
She's strong enough to do this, or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
The obnoxiously dominant ideology and entertainment would have you believe everyone is equals no matter the circumstances, but that's not true, physically, emotionally, and morally. In fact, I would argue the prominent girl boss of today that reflects this view differs from villains by merely 1 degree of separation, and I believe I can prove it. Before I dive into this, please, if you enjoy what you hear in this video, then like and subscribe to help build this kingdom. The discussion around the girl boss trope isn't wrong with simple observations such as the replacement and emasculation of men, abandoning femininity, etc. However, these are outer layers of a deeper problem. Bear with me, as several subjects must be better understood. The difference between heroes and villains, the struggle between virtue and sin, and the masculine and feminine applications of such. First, to oversimplify the difference between heroes and villains, it's basically a matter of choice. A hero is someone who is hurt by the world and works to prevent that harm from befalling others. A villain is someone who is hurt by the world and decides to hurt it back. This difference is best exemplified by their opposing cores. Heroes are about self-sacrifice, while villains focus on self-indulgence. For example, Mulan's love for her father drove her to take his place in the war. Meanwhile, Cruella de Vil wanted to murder, then skin Dalmatian puppies so that she could look cool. Mulan's actions were the epitome of love, true love, by putting herself in harm's way for others, while Cruella is the modern macabre version of love, which is all about her at the cost of others. But it's simply not enough to say these characters and more are good or evil, or selfless versus selfish, because it lacks detail. This is where the difference between virtue and sin comes in. Each is the different side of a subject. Between pride and humility is the ego. Food is sandwiched between gluttony and temperance. Wealth is stacked amid greed and generosity. Sexual gratification lays between lust and chastity. Temperament within wrath and meekness. Activity among sloth and diligence. And lastly, desire amidst envy and kindness. Barring specific examples like uncontrollable animals or soulless machines in most cases, of course, all heroes, villains, and us, we operate within the bounds of these polarities. Our actions and intent shift who we are to one side or the other of this sliding scale, as it were. Good people embody the virtues, and vice versa with evil and the sins, as none of us are perfect. And each side overlaps with them to a degree as well. Gluttony is primarily food, of course, but also overlaps with lust and greed, while temperance goes hand in hand with diligence and chastity. The two that connect with each of their respective sides the most are humility and pride. These two make up the cores I discussed earlier of the two selves, sacrifice and indulgence. And my conclusion, which is a bold statement, is that no hero who gave into pride made things better, and no villain who submits to humility made things worse. Two examples that come to mind would be Dr. Otto Octavius and Arthas Menethil. Once freed from the manipulation of the robotic arms that Octavius created, he realized the uncontrollable machine that he had rebuilt would, at the very least, consume the whole of New York. So, he sacrifices himself to drown the machine and save everyone, redeeming himself in the end. On the opposite side, Arthas had everything going for him. He was the Prince of Lordaeron, betrothed to Jaina Proudmoore.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
and under the tutelage of the great Uther Lightbringer was on his way to become one of the greatest paladins of the Silver Hand. But after the plague ravaged the eastern kingdoms, and he crossed the Rubicon by culling the population of the city of Stratholme, Arthas' mission to save his people devolved into a personal quest for vengeance, one in which he was willing to sacrifice others to achieve at all costs. Now, with that said, what is the major difference between Arthas and Galadriel? The truth is, one degree of separation. Galadriel is willing to leave others behind when they fall, which is a couple steps above betraying the mercenaries that fought for Arthas. Galadriel demands a fleet of others to fight for her. Consequences be damned, as they don't know where they're going, just like Arthas taking a fleet to Northrend to pursue Mal'Ganis. And she challenges the authority of different nations, including her own kin and king, when she doesn't get her way, just like Arthas bumping heads with Uther in how to approach the ravages of the plague and the uprising of the orcs. The key difference is the choice they make. Galadriel refused Sauron's advances to become his queen, while Arthas took up the cursed runeblade Frostmourne, losing his soul and mind in the process to achieve his victory. Now, as the two are incredibly similar, Galadriel's defining pride, wrath, and I would argue greed and envy, as I'm not speaking in the financial sense, would get her rubber-stamped as a villain in almost any other setting by nearly all other standards. But deciding to fight for good is the mask I'm talking about. If it wasn't for the presumption of these characters being heroes, their incredible similarities to villains would see them tagged as such, because most girl bosses exhibit the self-indulgence, sins, and negative actions of evil, such as the reckless application of power. And that's not really a feminine trait. Now, for the common discussion between feminine or masculine qualities. Men and women are different, and so is how we view and commit either virtue or sin. For example, take wrath. For men, it's about destruction, to break and destroy, while women are often pettier, damaging you mentally and emotionally. On the flip side, meekness, or patience, for women is often about forgiveness, while men are more judicious, seeking fair and just resolutions. A woman is more often willing to take someone back with open arms, while a man will do so, but at arm's length, to forgive but not forget. This is only one example, but regardless, emphasizes the difference between men and women when it comes to virtue and sin, all of which have their own masculine and feminine applications. Now, of course, this isn't 100% accurate to every man and woman. Some women are more guarded like most men, while some men are more lax like most women. This is where girl bosses twist the model. The irresponsible emphasis on more masculine characteristics like physical strength, dominance, use of force, toughness, sexual conquest, and so much more. These are not positive traits of men, nor how most men are. But the activist and communist writers, producers, directors, you name it, in their enclosed echo chambers of Hollywood don't care. This is how they most often view men, and in an envious manner create women to reflect these deeper, darker desires. This is why these characters are not true heroes. They are anti-heroes in the literal sense at best, and villains in disguise at worst. They are written to refuse relinquishment of neither their core self-indulgence nor the sins that define them. Galadriel can be described with arrogance, rage, vengeance, and bloodlust. These are not the traits of a true hero. Amber from Invincible is infallible, disdainful, and prideful. Carol Danvers is resentful, temperamental, and conceited. The list goes on. Don't believe me? Then ask yourself, what negative traits and adjectives cannot be applied to Jennifer Wankers, Ray Palpatine, Tan Ironing Board, Maria Retard, Dolt Woman, Iron Shart, Tila Tequila, Alyssa Mercanti, Frosk, or any other girl boss? Be my guest, ask yourself, test this theory against all kinds of heroes and villains, all you can. Because there you have it, my contribution to the dialogue about girl bosses and the fatigue of such. There's more I could squeeze out of the subject if I think about it, I'm sure, but I believe this is a solid model for everyone to view characters, as it is far more specific than the 3x3 grid that is the D&D alignment chart. So what do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on the matter. And if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.